If you create videos on the internet and use background music and sound effects, you have probably spent some time fiddling with trying to get the volume right in your videos. My name is Meredith Marsh, and here in this video, I'm going to walk you through my process for making sure that my videos sound as good as they possibly can with or without background music and sound effects, because the way your videos sound to your viewer is just as important, or possibly more important, than the way that they look. So let's dive into Final Cut Pro and talk about getting your volume right in your videos. So I have a new project open here inside of Final Cut Pro. I have a nice long cut of A-roll that I'm going to drag down here to my timeline. Now, seeing the waveforms in your video is going to be huge for adjusting your volume. So let's make sure that you're paying attention to these lines down here in the timeline that's below the visual part of your clip. Those are your audio waveforms. When there are no waveforms happening, like right about here, you can see I'm not really talking. And then when I open my mouth to speak, the waveforms are there because I'm talking, so there's sound there. It makes sense, right? But you're also going to obviously need to be able to hear the audio in your video in order to adjust the volume. Now, you can use your regular computer speakers if that's all you have available to you. If you have over-the-ear headphones, that is also an excellent option, just so that you can hear everything that you possibly can really clearly as you're editing your video. If you have AirPods or AirPod Pros, these will work for you also. Oftentimes what I do is adjust my volume just using my regular computer speakers, and then do some fine tuning with my AirPods in, just to make sure that I'm hearing everything as clearly as I can. Now you can see over here on the right hand side, the audio meter is visible, and you're going to need to use that, especially right here in the first step of getting your volume right. So if you don't see your audio meter, come under Window at the very top, and then Show in Workspace, and then come down to Audio Meters and make sure Audio Meters is checked. When you're viewing your clip and you're listening, you're also watching your audio meters. And like any good content creator, I link to not only, you can see that mine are sticking right around here in the green. They're not going much further above the -12 decibels. Ideally, we want to aim for that top audio level to be around -6 decibels. We for sure don't want it to go above 0. Now, if I come over to the audio inspector and just raise this up as far as it can go, you can see it's going to change the way these waveforms look. You can see we have a little bit of yellow in here, maybe some red. Let me show you what I mean. Now listen and watch the inspector. So you have the case which you plug in to charge. So what happened here is we had those waveforms going up into the yellow and even touching into some red points. And you can see we have some red warnings over here. This is letting us know that our volume is too high. When your waveforms are too high and going into the red, that is called peaking, and we don't want that to happen. So I'm going to put my volume back down here right at 0, and now we're back to where we started. Now, to get the volume where I want it to go between the -6 and the 0, I'm just going to hit play and gradually increase my volume over here in the audio inspector until I see it peaking about between -6 and 0 on average. So the case gets plugged in through the USB-C port on the back. This case charges and holds a charge so that you can put the microphones and the receiver in the case, and that charges those devices. So there's no batteries inside of these little. It also comes with the cutest little mini dead cats. They're so like fluffy. They're like little tiny fluffy marshmallows. So you can see how the audio meter goes up and down. It fluctuates as I'm talking, but it's between the 0 and the -6 for the most part throughout these clips. That's how you get the volume right in your video clips where you're like talking to the camera and you have that nice A-roll type of a style. Now, when you introduce something like background music or sound effects, there's a little bit more that you're going to have to do. Now, of course, I get all of my background music directly from Epidemic Sound. That's also where I get my sound effects from. And I'm going to pull one of these down here. And again, you can see these waveforms, and you can see that we're actually peaking a little bit in here. It's really bumping up against the 0 and going just a little above that. This is way too loud for the background music of my video where I'm actually talking, right? So generally what I do to get the volume right for my background music so that my viewers can actually hear what I'm saying is just pull the volume on this down way far. Usually I'm down in the -20, -25, maybe a little bit more than that, so that the background music isn't distracting to the viewer. So let's take a look at this, the charge. And then it also comes to go a little bit lower. Another way you can lower the volume is right here on the track itself. And it gets a little bit hard to fine tune, but if you just grab this bar, raise it up or down, you can see the decibels that you're at. And if you hold down the command button on your keyboard while you do that, you can get a little bit more of a fine tune adjustment here. So this is at let's go to -30 charge. And then it also comes with the DJI little pocket. You can put this in here if you want to. There's a bass and a rhythm going on in the background. That's one of the things that can get really distracting. So pay attention just to make sure that your viewer isn't going to strain to try and hear what you're saying in your video because the background music is a little bit too loud. And I almost always fade my background music in at the very beginning over the course of a second or two. And then at the end, I usually will fade it out as well. Now, when it comes to sound effects, you're going to have to do the same thing. So let me just drag the mouth pop, one of my favorite sound effects from Epidemic Sound. And if I just let this go, it's a little bit loud, and I want the viewer to keep their attention. I want them to go, ooh, what is this? Something's popping on the screen, but I don't want them to be startled when they're watching my videos. So I usually bring these mouth pops down to maybe -12, which I think is a pretty good volume. Just a little bit of a subtle pop there. Don't just take your sound effects, drop them onto your timeline, and not adjust the volume at all. One of my favorite tips for getting the background music right in your video is to get everything edited and ready to go, adjust the volume, and then close your eyes and listen. When you close your eyes and listen, then you're focusing only on the volume, only on what you can hear, and you're not distracted by what you're seeing on the screen. And it will help you to figure out if it's all meshing together just right in your video. So now that you know how to get the volume right in your videos, your viewers are going to thank you because you will be able to upgrade their viewing experience with your very next video.